Mr. Longfellow! Art class, Mr. Longfellow! Art class, art class! It's time for art class with Mr. Longfellow.
Hey there, James John Lyons. We've got some new supplies coming out soon, and I wanted to take a moment and talk to you about one of the items in your supply bag that I'm really excited about. One thing that I'm pretty excited about are these tempera paint cakes. They're not watercolors, they're tempera paint, like the ones that we use that are in the jugs. So let's check these out. You're gonna need to grab a paintbrush and some water for this. All right, let's check out these tempera cakes. So they're hard, kind of like watercolors, the way they're shaped in the little thing, but they're tempera. So they're gonna be thicker in the long run, and they're gonna be more opaque, which means they're not as clear. But with these really dry ones, if you start with just a little bit of water, you can treat them kind of like watercolors. So if you like that style, if you like that thinness of watercolor, you can just get a wet brush and just kind of gently paint on it, on the cake. Get a little blue on your brush, and then it comes off nice and a lot like watercolor. Now, if you let them soak for a while, or if you get them really wet, they'll start dissolving into kind of a soupy paint, and it will be a lot more like tempera paint. So let's see, if I sketch something out here, I'm gonna draw some sort of little character here. We can start kind of painting, and if you're careful, you might be able to mix on this, or you might want a palette to mix on. I'm gonna try mixing just straight on my paper here. So painting my red, I guess he's a little red rodent here. Just painting some red. And you can kind of think of it similar to how watercolor works, but they're not gonna be as wet and clear. So now I'm going to use some yellow, blending right here on my paper carefully. And the more water you use, the more runny it's going to be. Let's see. Got a little bit of red on there, but you can wipe it off later. Wash it off if you're careful without ruining everything. Can be pretty cool. Definitely worth experimenting with. So I got mixed kind of red and yellow to kind of give it kind of a fur kind of color. Kind of like that. I haven't even touched my white. Maybe I want to mix some white in. Maybe I'll let this dry and try painting some white on it. Or mixing yellow with white. So there's kind of my idea here. And now to clean this up, let it dry, and then I can draw over it. But try experimenting with these. Maybe use them on your next seesaw activity. See what we can come up with. All right, so I let these dry a little bit. You can kind of see they got pretty thin. If I want them thicker, I gotta let more water soak into my cake so that they get really soupy. But I just wanted to experiment with really light colors here. So now that it's dry, I'm gonna go back in and add some more detail. I'm not even gonna use black for my outlining. Give it a little fuzz. Might be fun to draw some little critters. Might come in handy for our next seesaw activity. Might come in handy for our next seesaw activity. All right. We have some tempera and some marker combined. That's pretty good.
Lines here.
If you don't like the pale colors, you just gotta soak it a little more and really get a lot of that cake into your water there. Pretty cool.